All right. Hi, I'm Mark Jones. I'm the Rural Ranger Commander at Central in Springfield, Missouri. And we've been working on some projects here. And what we did is we took the boys on a timber trip, and we picked up about 34 logs that were 26 inches long. And we fell about 5 little cedar trees that were anywhere from 8 inches in diameter to 14 inches. Most of this wood was probably cut from the bigger logs. Some of the smaller logs I didn't even cut because there were just not a lot of wood you could get out of them. You can see some of these ones on the top here. This is about the most yield I could get out of 1 or 2 boards out of them. So the bigger logs we cut down first. Some of them I did have to end up taking the chainsaw on the big logs and stacking them up out on a wood piece of tree, and then take the chainsaw and cut the log down the center so that it would fit on my bandsaw. Now, a few things that I've never done. One thing is I've never done any resawing of cedar or any wood really. I've heard about it, but I've never done it. And this is the waste. This is the saw. I took the Delta saw and I made a extended table that's 4 foot long. And just the braces fit on there, and it basically bolts to the table through the factory bolting on the table. And I just made sure the saw was square, and then made my table off of that. And it actually served pretty well. The boys, I were told the boys that they couldn't put their hands over the table right here on the aluminum part. They can only go to the wood part. And so that worked pretty well. And then I used this stick here to push a log towards the saw curve. And it worked pretty well. Now, I went on YouTube, and they told me, well, they didn't tell me, but I seen a lot of guys that were making a bandsaw rip fence. Well, these guys had these humongous bandsaws with big motors, and my half-horse motor would not cut off of this jig. But I made this jig with the sliding deals. It's 4 foot long, and it will smooth in, and it also goes down the track here with this little guy here. And, I found out I really didn't need it. Basically what I did is I just took the wood, and after I got the first cut, I squared it. And the second cut, I squared it some more. For example, this one here, it's got a cut down the bottom. I would put it on the side, and then I would cut it and get another cut on it. And then pretty soon I could rip a straight board out of it. And the same with these right here. Now this particular one had the chainsaw run down the center. It was cut with a chainsaw like right through here. And this is what's left of one of the bigger boards. But, I was pretty impressed that we'd come out with cedar boards and get some nice looking cedar coming out of it. Now the cedar, when you cut it, it is really wet when it's green. Some of these trees were dry. For example, I got a combination of dead trees that are here and green trees. So I had a combination of both. But when you go to cutting this, it's almost a spongy, soaking wet feeling out of some of it. And so there's a lot of difference in the wood as far as green and not so green. What we're going to do with these are the boys will pick a few of these boards, and this is one tree that I thought about leaving it as an example of what we had to do to cut it, but as you can see, no matter how I tried to cut that, I wasn't getting much wood out of that board, so kind of left that as a memento for it. But basically, you come up with a pretty good chunk of wood, and this is probably the roughest one. That one's got a bad cut on it, but the rest of them are pretty good shape. And these were cut like a couple days ago. And, but you can look at these other. But basically what I did is I just took the log, and I took my pattern board, and you can see the Sharpie marks on it. And I just laid it out and then just cut it freehand. And then what I'll do is I'll run that through the planer when it gets a little drier. And we'll have some nice looking wood come out of it. Some of this wood has got some, and it's dried, right? This was just a bright purple. And as soon as I sanded it up a little bit and put a finish over it, it would really be pretty. But anyway, I left some of these wild looking boards for maybe make some cool looking little shelves or something out of them, you know, and just some different designs. But anyway, most of the boards are fairly good. There's some of them that aren't worth much, but we'll have a pretty good deal. The plan is to plane these down and get a 3/4 inch board out of them, and we should be good to go on that. Now, they talked about stickering the wood and keep it from checking. And, you know, the logs all came in here. They weren't in any sun. I figured in the indoor temperature when we cut them, they would just be allowed to pretty much just air dry for a while. And I may be sorry that I didn't check them or seal the ends, but you know, I looked on YouTube and some of them said you did, some of them said they didn't, and they were fine. We'll find out. Right now I've got, oh, I don't know, let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 layers deep. 9 layers on that side. And I just run stickers down each one, and so that made a pretty good chunk. This is an 8 foot long by top of my calf down here on my leg. So however long that would be, probably 14 inches, not quite 16 inches tall. Anyway, that'll make us a good bunch of good wood. What the boys are going to be doing is making some puzzle boxes, and of course this one's made out of plywood, and it's not pretty, but it's going to do the trick. And what it is all this lumber, some of that we're going to use, will be planed down to a 3.5 inch block, 1/2 inch sheets, and then they'll print off these pieces of paper, and they will contact spray, stick them on there, and then cut them out on a bandsaw. And you know, they lock together, kind of cool. And what that will do is make a cool little box, and all they have to do is cut the pattern out, and it's pretty straightforward. They should be able to do this without a whole lot of trouble, just cutting the little red lines, and it should come together just fine. There's this is a puzzle box, and it, you know, basically fits together. I'm going to give you the round about there, so it locks in pretty good. Put a little bit of glue on it, and there's three little blocks that go in the corner, and there's a special combination for this thing. It's called a unibox, and basically what this thing does is this has a hole in it that fits down in these little pins there, and that will slide back this way and then open like this, okay? And then this has a pin right here. At this point here, the pin locks down into that piece, and then when you pull the pin, this will be at a bevel cut. This will swing out of the way because it's pinned right there. This will swing out of the way. This will then slide back like that, and then you will be able to have this where it slides back like that and then over like that. So it'll be a combination puzzle box. Then the plan is to have the boys put a nice little letter to their mom, and it'll make a nice cool looking little cedar box with as a keepsake. And you saw it here first, and this is Rangers Ready for Anything, and we're going to be ready to make some cool boxes for moms. And hopefully this will be a cool project for the boys to do. And it's a lot of work. I've spent several evenings in here after work, a couple hours here and there, and then everything getting together. So I've got a good 20, 30 hours in this project. It's on my own time, but I think it's worth it when we take the boys out and show them and teach them how to do things, and it's worth it. So we're building character. We're also building some just good time, and hopefully it'll come out and be a benefit to people. See you later.